What's good YouTube, Akil here, back with another video, and today I'm going to be giving you guys somewhat of an update in terms of my wholesale journey. So back in September of 2020, I dropped a video and I told you guys that I'm going to start trying to place more wholesale orders and trying to find more suppliers. That way I can stop thrifting so much and stop going to different retail stores and basically just have products come to me, essentially just so I can kind of buy back some of my time. Now, to be 100% honest with you guys, I purchased my first home in December and I started that journey back in October. So during that whole time, I was super stressed out because, of course, being an entrepreneur and you're self-employed, the home buying process is completely different for us. So that definitely kind of threw me off a little bit. But now that we're actually in the house and it's fully furnished for the most part, I'm going to try to get back into the wholesaling side of things just so that I can kind of continue to buy back some of my time like I told you guys before. I ended up coming across a really dope website that I had to share with you guys, and that one is Alibaba.com. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar with Alibaba.com, they're basically the world's largest business-to-business marketplace, and I was more familiar with Alibaba.com because of like private label. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar with private label, basically if you guys wanted to sell a notepad and you wanted to sell your own branded notepad that said, you know, McLeod's books, you can order a ton of just blank books or even have manufacturers create those books for you and just put your brand on there. So that's all I was really familiar with Alibaba.com for. But like I said before, they're the world's largest marketplace for just about any and everything that you might be looking for. And they do more than just private label. So one thing that I wanted to try to learn more about was just how I can get more items sent to me and kind of get items that were already popular, already selling for a decent amount of money. And even if the margins aren't as high, I definitely still wanted to, you know, get involved with that. So by doing some research, I put together some tips for you guys, mainly beginner stuff, because I've only placed a couple of orders so far, and I'm going to be updating you guys with this because it's going to take a while until these orders get here, but I definitely just want to take you guys along the journey with me. So if you guys are interested in these type of videos, make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and without further ado, let's get into it. Alright y'all, so I wrote down some notes here just so I wouldn't forget anything, and I got 5 really solid tips for you guys, especially if you're brand new to Alibaba.com and the whole experience. So they're very similar. The outlook and like the kind of layout of the website is very similar to eBay and Amazon, so it's not going to be too complicated or anything like that. To be honest, a lot of it is very straightforward, and like I said, I haven't placed a ton of orders on there or anything like that yet, but these are just some of the things that kind of help me kind of navigate through the website a little better. So the first thing what you want to do is pay attention to the number of years that supplier has been working on that Alibaba.com platform. So for me, I'd usually try to stick to those types of suppliers that have experience within at least 2 to 3 years. Others try to get people with more experience, upwards of like 4 or 5. But for me, I'm definitely comfortable with working with somebody that has at least 2 to 3 years of experience selling on the platform. Mainly because when you're dealing with anything online, you always want to make sure that you're just dealing with people that are trustworthy. And for me, experience trumps a lot. So if you've been on the platform for at least 2 to 3 years, I'll feel a lot more trustworthy doing business with them. And like I said before, Alibaba is such a large marketplace that you're going to see people that were on the platform for a few days, a few weeks, and then you're also going to see others that's been around and they're tried and true and they've been on there sometimes upwards of 10 plus years. So you definitely want to pay close attention to that. So another really good tip that I have for you guys, and I'm actually just going to throw the sample letter that I have created on here just so you guys can check that out. And basically this little sample letter that I provided is basically just the message that I've been sending out to suppliers for whatever item that it may be. So like I said, I kind of made it kind of generic just for today's video, but you guys could easily just take some of the pieces from this and kind of add it to your own messages when you're reaching out to some of these suppliers, because there's so many different suppliers. You definitely want to reach out to just more than one and just kind of see for yourself how fast they get back to you, you know, how well their English is. You just want to make sure that, you know, you kind of cast a wide net, and then that way you can kind of sift through the sea of different suppliers. So just a few important tips when it comes to, you know, crafting your letter. Of course, you just want to introduce yourself and you want to let them know that you own an e-commerce business. That way they know that you're not in this for a short amount of time, or you're not really in it just for a quick play. You kind of want to let them know that you're somewhat of an established business owner. And then of course you just want to let them know that you want to start a long-term relationship with them. That way they can be, you know, a consistent supplier for your business. So I always like to make sure that I'm adding that into my letter. I tend to usually start with at least 25 pieces. Some sellers, some suppliers you might see on there, they may say the minimum is 100, but I still prefer to at least send them the message and say, hey, I want to start a long-term business relationship with you guys, and for me, I'm comfortable with starting with 25. Now, you might get a response, you might not. They might say they don't do 25 pieces, but just by kind of setting the tone that way, you kind of open yourself up for a little more communication. And for me, communication is key. So the next really big important tip, and this is a line that I always try to include in every time I reach out to these different suppliers. I always say, please provide a total price including the shipping and any other applicable fees using either DHL, FedEx, or UPS. Now for me, those are just some of the, the services that I'm more familiar with, the postal services that I'm familiar with, and I know some of them can be super expensive. So I just prefer to just kind of get straight to the point and ask them about those three in particular. And of course, you're going to be dealing with some different fees, so you always just want to ask for the total price just so that you know exactly what you're going to be getting yourself into. And last but certainly not least, you also want to make sure that you're asking the suppliers if they accept PayPal, because for me, I've been using PayPal for a really long time now. I trust PayPal, and I just know anytime I'm sending money to a different business, I just want to be protected on my side as well. So for me, if they're not going to be accepting PayPal, that could kind of be a deal breaker, because for me, sending a money order or Cash App or Zelle when you're dealing with business like this, that's a non-negotiable. So definitely keep that in mind. Last tip that I have for you guys is to simply just be patient, because when you're ordering items off of Alibaba.com, with my experience, it's been at least 30 to 60 days for you to actually get your item, but you're also going to be spending a lot of time sifting through different samples, trying to find the right supplier. And if it was easy, like I told you guys in my last video, if it was easy, any and everybody would do it. So you definitely want to spend that time finding the right suppliers, ordering samples, and you might have to spend a decent amount of money to kind of set a foundation, but at the end of the day, it's all part of the business and it's all part of the game. So like I tell you guys all the time, if you guys got any questions, drop it in the comment section, because I love to hear from you guys. And like I told you guys before, I don't have a ton of experience with Alibaba.com, so I kind of just want to share the experience with you guys while I'm going through it. That way it can just be a little more transparent and a little more organic. So if you guys got questions, drop that in the comment section. And if you guys got any other tips for me in terms of this wholesale journey with Alibaba.com, drop that in the comment section for me as well. And I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Peace.
For the winner, cause you felt like you was losing, only for the winner. Move just to keep from cooling, like only for the winner, only for the winner, only for the winner. Boy, my heart is cold, and I'm too cool to sweat it. I should've never offered it. I'm tight and now